Boston, something to stir the pot with. Fire all your bosses and watch empires topple. The chapel been full of liars. I know it's awful, but fuck the bias.
Yo, what is up to the world? What's up to YouTube? It's me, AZ, yes I, and I. We are here with another video. I think I'm gonna make the intro kind of a regular thing here. Plus it gets me to plug the like and subscribe. But beyond that, a little context for this video. Tim and the gang got together to debate religion, which is a debate that I don't think is had enough these days. It's like we kind of abandoned it in the post 2015 political Trump centered cycle, and I actually think that's when it would have been most useful. I feel like talking about Trump in context of religion was important and not done enough by the left or anybody. But when I saw this video, I had to click on it. Right up my alley, the kind of things I like to talk about, the kind of conversations I want to bring back to the forefront. So I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you get something out of it. I appreciate if you've even watched this far. Thank you very much. If you made it this far, you got nothing to lose at this point. If you could throw me a subscribe, throw me a like, that'd be dope. Appreciate you. But yeah, enjoy the video. Thank you.
Tim, are you a
Yes.
Christian?
Christ is king.
No, but the problem is not.
I just needed
that.
to know because I needed to know if I'm not the only atheist in the room.
No, I'm not an atheist.
No, I never said you were a pet. I'm just saying
so
that
you're the only atheist in the room.
I am the only atheist
I'm
in the
not a
room.
man.
Who is this woman? I like her already. I'm probably gonna eat those words later, but we'll see.
Timothy, pet.
No, hold on. Let me qualify. Let me qualify.
I can't wait to dig into this. I'm gonna get so spicy.
Now that Tim and I are friends, we're friends. Elijah can again qualify this. I say pet all the time, and it freaks Americans out because they're like, "Why are you calling me a pet?" And I'm like, "I'm not. It's just part of my speech."
What am I, a cow?
Yeah.
Heath, are you an atheist? You're not.
No. I'm more agnostic than anything. I mean, that cosmic microwave background radiation is like the permeating radiation left over from the Big Bang. Looks like it's interacting with matter and causing God. That's the experience of that interaction is God.
Facts,
Seems like
dude.
it. But
Cosmic
I believe
background
that this Christ
radiation.
consciousness is real, that it can permeate this, like, I don't know what it is, like a spirit of goodness. I know good and evil are subjective, but
Because the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God, is over the earth. And a lot of people mock me for my belief in God, but it's not just a consciousness. Like, Christ is
Oh
a
my
real
God, he talks like how I make fun of Christian.
I actually believe in God, and a lot of people mock me because
He's literally
person,
doing
he's
it.
also God. And what's
Yeah, he's
interesting
also
is that
God.
and this is where I know people who are not Christian would not believe this, but the only thing that is holding evil back is the Spirit of God that is currently
The only thing stopping, what he's basically saying here is, the only thing stopping me from sucking every cock I can find is the power of Jesus Christ in my soul, all right? I suck Jesus cock, and that's it.
on the earth in those that are chosen, and that there's going to end up being a rapture, and that one time that's why the end of the world comes. He pulls the Spirit off the face of the earth. It's true, and actually evil continues. We have the Antichrist things happen. This is why it's weird how the Bible though predicted a one world government
Prophesized
towards the end. Like, no, what I'm
apocalypse.
saying, it says what the world would be like in the end times, and it describes what it would be like, and it looks like the world
Mother
today.
Mary, who art in
It also
heaven,
says that there would
save
be the
us.
sharing of knowledge, this increased rapid sharing of knowledge around the world, and a one world economy. That it would create a one world economy, a global economy, and a one world government would be their goal, where you had to have some sort of a
It
mark
says this in the
to buy.
Bible?
Yeah, where you had to have some sort
Did
of a
you know-
mark to buy or to sell.
Right.
And that was like, it's very interesting.
The
that
mark
that's
of the
what it says
beast
about the end times.
says that you cannot buy, sell, or trade unless you bear the mark. And when I first heard that, it was a super chat on this show. I was like, that's too specific.
Crazy.
Talking about free market restrictions? What do you mean? And then I looked it up. Yeah, it literally says you can't buy, sell, or trade.
it's possible.
But I have to ask a question on that. You're saying that the only thing holding evil back is the Spirit? Is
The Holy Spirit. I believe the Holy Spirit who's in
well, so does that imply that like God put the evil here on purpose?
No, it's not that God put the evil here on purpose, but
Except for the fact that literally the worst part of human history, what we refer to as the Dark Ages, was when the church had the most power. So it's almost like, the only bad thing on earth is the Holy Spirit, quote unquote.
what the
God
Bible
created
talks,
the evil and the evil
No,
is
no, no. So
coming
what?
from
So
us.
what?
Which, again,
What's
for
interesting
clarity,
is
I
that
believe in.
if you look at actually Christian theology or what actually happened, is Lucifer, the devil that we call the devil or Satan, is actually an angel, right? All demons are fallen angels, and part of why God is not a slave master, but He's a just and a fair God, is He gives you free will or the right to serve Him or to not. And he is perfect. And so what happened was that Lucifer became, I could say, jealous.
Yeah, it's your choice, bro. It's like protection money. It's like, yo, you can pay for protection or you don't have to. It's just then, you know, I'd hate to see something bad happen to you. I hate to see you burn in hell for eternity. But, you know, your choice. It's totally, you know, totally up to you.
But he thought that he was the best of all the angels, right? He was the most beautiful, most talented. He was ahead of all of the music, and that he actually rebelled against God, and he thought that he could be God, like God. And so it's kind of interesting even how sin was brought into the world, but he was cast out of heaven. Many believe that means that he was sent down to earth, and that's why there's that big crater down in the Gulf. But anyway, a lot of people believe that, but I don't know if I don't know if that's true. But I will say that he was cast down, and what's interesting is that it talks about that some of these demons actually were so evil, and after they revolted and separated themselves from God, that some of them are even like locked in chains at the bottom of like the Euphrates River, and they're held back, and that when the Holy Spirit leaves, that the evil is finally unleashed on the earth, that full evil is unleashed. That the reason why the good keeps
Euphrates
winning,
will
and the
erupt.
reason why like evil never fully is able to triumph and indefinitely take over is because the Holy Spirit of God is continually on the face of the earth and is holding evil back. But there's a moment where God gives us what we want, and what people want, like how Aussies want, they want the government eventually. When you really talk to them, most Aussies they think what the government's doing is good. I mean, that's really
Or
just
they
the
at least
truth.
they think it's okay.
Yeah,
they're not like vehemently
what
against
humans
it.
want is to not have to deal with God, and then God gives us that. He goes, okay, have yourself, and that's why the Antichrist is able to rise up. And it's so weird to me though that a bunch of, you know, I'm saying this sarcastically for people who can't understand that.
Okay.
But a bunch of crazy fishermen liars, you know, thousands of years ago somehow predicted that what the end times would look like is that people would be liars. They would claim to have the fear of God but not express its power, that they would hate their families. Families would be divided against themselves, that they would be backstabbers. It talked about they'd be greedy, lovers of themselves, haters of God, mockers of God, and that the key factors would that there would be pestilence, earthquakes, and these would be signs of the times. And the goal would be, the spirit of the Antichrist would be to create a one world economy and a one world government.
It's looking
and
right
that
into my fucking
being
soul
an
right
allegiance
now.
to
Jesus
that government
Christ, dude.
was part of the you had, in order to like buy, sell, trade, to live, you had to give your allegiance to that leader who would take over and declare himself God. And it even predicted the rebuilding of and it says that we'll know who he is because he's going to rebuild the temple on the Temple Mount. Where he's going to rebuild the temple after it's destroyed, and he's going to sit on the throne and declare himself God. And it says that Israel was going to reform as a nation, and that it's like funny, they predicted that Israel was going to reform, and it did. And then they already have the plans in place right now and the materials to rebuild the new temple, and they're waiting for the right moment. So it's like, it's crazy.
I mean, that's why you see, this is not a secret, that's why you see a lot of evangelical support for, you know, radically pro-Israel groups, because they're sick fucks who want to see the world end so they can get beamed up to their paradise. And they don't, that's what kills me, is that the Christian doctrine is inherently self-destructive, dude. It's gonna ruin fucking everything because that's what they want. It's like the fucking Heaven's Gates cult, except they want that for the whole planet. They want everyone to fucking drink the Kool-Aid, burn everything down, burn all the fossil fuels, destroy the environment, make the earth uninhabitable to anything except fucking cockroaches, use the nuclear bombs on their enemies. Like, how the fuck can any rational earth-loving person support that kind of cult?
That, like, if it's not real, how they got so much of it right.
Or they read it and said, hey, let's do that.
That's possible too, but that could.
Yo, base Tim, that's true, bro. That probably is the more likely scenario, right? Like, they read it and said, let's do that. Okay.
That could be, but you know,
I wonder.
Tim, that's
Could be. You know, maybe. I don't fucking know, dude. Oh, shit.
that's just a really good
wonder-
explanation.
Who is this? I need to find this woman. I need Sydney Watson. It's bad and it's only gonna get worse. Uh-oh.
Time for a serious chat, because I'm like your mom, but with less yelling.
I'm a conservative and I've had enough.
I hated the media and I already distrusted politicians, but now I've basically hit the wall on anyone forcing any left-wing political viewpoint down my throat. For all intents and purposes, I've had enough. When I first involved myself in politics back in early 2018,
Okay,
I
never
was
mind. She's
resentful of the left and their narratives. So disgusted watching people tear down statues. People, particularly those on the right wing, can sit back and watch this happen and not be done is a complete mystery to me. Because being patient and taking the passive high road hasn't worked for us so far.
This
why
is so fucking boring. I fell asleep. Never mind. I was almost gonna subscribe to you.
No, I'm saying that could be, but they also don't believe in the New Testament. The
Should've
Jews
known.
don't even believe in that as well, so they don't follow that.
No, I don't think it's any one particular group. I'm saying, like, if you're saying that there,
Zionists don't believe in the New Testament.
if there is a group of, like, you know, global special interests who are doing the things as predicted, it could just be those global special interests are like, hey, I read this book, you read it. Hey, there's a bunch of good ideas for how we should control the world.
I don't
Why
think
get out of here?
they
Fuck.
really respect. Well, then why would they just randomly follow Revelation? And not
Randomly.
follow anything
No,
else
I'm saying
in
they're
the New Testament?
deliberately doing it.
I mean, it doesn't give you the plans on how to carry it out. It's
No,
just
but
saying
they're trying.
these are the signs. They're too vague to actually give you a way to carry it out. And then why would you choose that book? I mean, if you look at it, it's statistically probably improbable.
I think that
Let me ask you, when do you think so it's happening now, right?
I think we're in the last days. Yeah, I think we're in the end times.
How much time do we have?
I says no man knows the day or the hour. That's part of the reason, because it says that, you know what's crazy is it says that when these things are coming to an end, when God comes to rapture his people,
But there's no rapture's not mentioned in
yes,
the Bible.
it says that they'll be caught up. Yes, it is. It says they'll be caught up. And
there's
it has,
the word rapture is not in the Bible.
that's an English word, an American word. Yes. So I'm saying that it says being caught, taken off.
actually didn't know
So
that.
what it actually talks about is very interesting, because this happened with Enoch and other people in the Bible. But what is really, really interesting about this, I'm saying, is that it categorizes this idea. It's very interesting. It even kind of predicts the theory of evolution and whatnot. That it says that during this time, people are going to be mocking God, because it says they're going to be buying and selling in trade, being given in marriage, and living life as it is, saying that life has always been and it always will be, that there was never this, that it's been going for a long time, and it's going to continue to evolve and continue to move on the way that it's been. And people are just going to be, it says, going to be caught up in their own lives, in their own sin, in their own focus, and then God's going to come back to judge the world, and it's going to catch them off guard. So like a thief in the night, that he's going to come back and it's going to throw everybody off. And that's kind of crazy, because even
I
with
believe
COVID, it's
him,
like
man.
you're just living and
Because here's the thing. Here's the tricky thing, right? This is why I believe in God. Because Christians believe in God, and because there's so many of them, and because they've convinced themselves that God can only act through them. Yeah, there's probably going to come a time where if they gain enough power, there's going to be a knocking at your door. And that apocalypse is going to come to you real quick. And if you're not on their team, it's going to be very fucking nasty for you. And that's scary as fuck. It really is. Because, you know, it's happened before. People get convinced that they are working for God, and they do terrible things. So what's the difference if he's real or not? If he's real to them and they do things to me as if he's real, it's real. And that, you know, that's why I say things like, you know, the mind is a place. Like, we all have this space that we experience in our heads. Oh man, you guys are gonna try and come after me too? Bad move, guys. Real bad. Actually, I guess it was bad for me. Smoked. But everything he's saying here is entirely possible, and I don't discount it. I think anyone who does is foolish, and that's why I don't consider myself an atheist, because I feel it's easier to just say, yeah, I believe, because enough people believe that it's real enough. Well, what the fuck's the difference? Might as well also act like it's real, so you can fight the real threat that it poses. And I'm not saying I'm acting. I mean, I have a metaphysical framework in which, like I said, the mind is, things that exist in the mindscape are real in their own way. Not in the same way physical objects are, but enough, you know, they can be experienced. And if reality is really just experience, then what's the fuck's the difference? You got to deal with it pragmatically either way.
Then if God is perfect, then God defines that none of us are good, no, not one, because we were born into sin. So he's saying that the only way to actually become and find redemption is through the faith in the work of Christ.
And so
on
what
the cross.
happens to the non-believers when the rapture happens?
Well, not everyone believes. Not even everyone believes in that the rapture is.
Well,
going
let's
to
just say
happen.
in your view, like God will come to judge everybody.
I think that a lot of people will wake up because I believe that a lot of people are familiar with this and they will realize, because the Bible talks about that a lot of people refuse to get the mark, and the punishment is beheading. They actually get beheaded.
He's actually very aptly describing my problem with like passive Christians, right? When those fucking inquisitors come knocking at the door and push comes to fucking shove, who do you think these cowards are gonna back? Oh yeah, I don't really go to church, but I've always believed. I'm as Christian as they come. Yep, don't kill me. Like, that's why I have a problem with people who are like, oh yeah, you know, like I'm not really Christian, but like I'm culturally Christian, and like I think Christianity's probably good, and you know I should probably go to church more. It's like, no, fuck you. Like, you're on one side or the other, bro. Because that's when it comes down to it. When the guns are out, when the people are going door to door, like, where are you gonna stand? You know, if you're kind of like schmoozing with these fucking terrorists, I doubt you. So he's exactly right. A lot of people would come around, wouldn't they?
In like the guillotine style thing, they get their heads chopped off
So
if you
to
don't
speak.
submit to the one world government, and that's because you're seen as an enemy. Because even though you're just not buying, selling, and trading, you're a threat, like a terror threat. It basically
All right. So
shows.
what's going to happen?
So I'm
to
saying
these
that
people?
it seems that a lot of people get killed. That a lot of people who appear, I would assume, of good conscience, realize, oh crap, that was right, and that they give their lives to God. That's what it seems like.
So what I'm saying is, there's obviously going to be a lot of people
Yep.
you have to deal with the problems.
who are good people, in that they, So I'll use look. I believe in God, but I don't believe in Christian theology. So would I be
Weird.
condemned to hell?
Weird
because
chant.
I'm like, wouldn't
Yeah,
all
well,
go-
it's about because Kezia, she and I have conversations about this all the time. Elijah's wife, because she's very Christian as well. And the way that she's described it to me is that it's not necessarily about it is actually about whether or not you fully actually believe in God. It's not about your good works. It's not about any of that sort of stuff. It's about whether or not you effectively like let him into your life. So to speak.
But the good works would follow, so it's kind of like
Sure.
Kind of like saying I could say
they're
I'm a
not-
car, but it doesn't make me when I can make
Well,
the noises and the
it's-
sounds, but it doesn't make me a car.
But-
Like
yeah,
you could
'cause-
say like, oh, I do believe in God, but a faith like you mentioned, if you believed in God and you would get to know His heart, he would transform you, and that you would become more like God. And you would see this with a lot of people who genuinely have real conversion and they become Christians. That there's a radical change in
There's
their
a
life.
lot, there's a lot of Christians who are hypocrites, though. Who
Hold
go,
on.
I'm a Christian, but who don't actually. They're not actually Christian, if you know what I mean. Like, and I'm not here to judge anybody because what the hell do I know? Because I'm not
Why-
religious.
Why would I, pledge anything to an entity
yeah,
that would
that's what's
condemn Sydney to hell?
Well, he's not condemning Sydney to hell. Sydney's choosing to go.
Right.
But also, I mean, by the
So
same
like
token,
to eternally torture and cause suffering for
Because
someone
God
based on
didn't
ignorance.
make God, but it's not based out of ignorance. Because actually, Sydney's smarter than me. So this is the
Thank
point.
you.
This is the point.
I don't think so,
Sydney's
but
actually
thanks.
hyper intelligent. I don't think Sydney's
You'd
stupid.
never-
I
you'd
don't
never
think
guess
Sydney's
that.
stupid. And I actually used to be agnostic. I've said that I used to be agnostic. I didn't really know what I believed, but I did know that what's interesting about this is that this is also beyond just the physical, that there is an actual such thing as the spirit of a person, of a man, and that these things, that's why we can be immoral or moral versus dogs are instinctual, right? These are animals. They don't have the soul. This is what is distinctualized about sentience, about the person of who I am as a human being. This makes me sacred and special. God designed me in His image. And so someone like Sydney is not dumb, and I thoroughly and fully believe that when I met Sydney, she was an atheist. Now she's agnostic. Who knows
you
where
agnostic?
she's headed now? But I do believe that, for instance, God put us in our lives together.
Thanks for
That's
checking
here's
out
the
this
thing.
clip
It's
of the
impossible.
TiMcast
Oh,
IRL.
man, I was liking that. It's impossible to be conservative and not Christian, unless in this country, I should say, or at least fundamentalist in some Abrahamic religion, right? Whether there's a lot of conservative Jews, there's a lot of conservative Hindus, there's a lot of conservative. It's not an Abrahamic religion, but one of the big ones. And there's a lot of conservative Muslims too, for sure. I would say in this country, it's more, you're gonna be, unless you're not gonna become a conservative Muslim if you're not already, there's not a propaganda effort to create that in this country. You're gonna have been probably a conservative Muslim coming from either your family here or somewhere else. And then you'll kind of adapt into the conservative party here. But it's impossible to be an atheist. That's the simple way to put it. It's impossible to be an atheist and be a conservative. Like, you will be pushed. You can try your hardest. You can fight against it. They're out there. But it's gonna pull you. And I wish it was impossible for you to be a leftist and be a Christian, but we've made a space for that, unfortunately. That's something I would like to change. I don't think there's any space for Christianity on the left whatsoever. Just like I don't think there's any space for ISIS. Like, nope, no lefty ISIS. I don't care.